what seems impressive to others, but is actually easy. Story 1. Cabling. I learned how to terminate Cat 5 and 6, phone lines, fiber, low-volt panels, and coaxial cables when I was 14 and still fall back on it to make good money here and there. People look at me like I'm a strange wizard, waving thousands of feet of cable and bundles hanging from the ceiling. The termination is the easy part. I've spent years trying to teach guys how to run said cables so they look nice and don't get caught under ceiling grids. People get so intimidated by wires, but it's so simple. I've been hired by cable military installations and big tech companies in Silicon Valley. One company paid me a ridiculous amount of money to build a network rack for Apple. And you know what took the most time? Cutting Velcro and making all them pastel patch cords look nice. Tech career? I obtained 2 creative writing degrees because words couldn't pass on the giant reduction in salary. Honestly, folks, it's kind of good advice where if you don't know what to do with your life, just find something that you think is just kind of easy to do that other people don't seem to want to do. And bada boom, you have a business. It's as easy as that. Sometimes. Story 2. Playing guitar. It is relatively affordable and very simple and fun once you get a feel for it. You also don't need lessons nowadays thanks to the internet. I play 4 instruments: bass, guitar, trombone, trumpet, and guitar definitely has the most straightforward learning process. Just play it and you will get better. Please note that styles of music vary in difficulty. Styles like metal or jazz often focus on showing off instrumental skill, whereas other styles like rock or country focus on the overall feeling of the music and will usually be simpler. Also be aware that playing Latin-style music may cause female clothing to mysteriously disappear. Just thought I'd let you know. Oh, it's not just female clothing. Because let me tell you, if someone starts playing some Rodrigo y Gabriela, sorry for my pronunciation there, but my pants have been known to just fully disintegrate upon hearing some of those tunes. So, just take note, everyone. Story 3. Being able to read hiragana and katakana. My family and friends are always super impressed whenever I read something Japanese, but really you can learn one of them in under a month, or even a matter of days if you really put your mind to it. I went on a group trip to Japan through my school when I was 17, and there was one guy who mastered them both in about 3 weeks for the sake of the trip. You just need some knowledge of Japanese pronunciation/accents and a decent memory. Apparently, Korean writing is similarly easy to learn, but I haven't tried it myself yet. Knowing kanji when Japanese is your second language, on the other hand, is actually impressive. It takes most people years to learn the amount that a native speaker knows. Story 4. I can tell you, because of my work, tossing pizza really isn't as amazing as customers make it seem. After watching my manager for a few months, I tried it and threw one just fine. We use 1-pound dough balls and average an 18-inch pizza, but after a month or 2, I was able to get one to 30-plus inches in diameter. Not usable, way too thin, but it didn't have any holes. Customers watch me as if I'm casting magic spells, eyes all wide, like, wow! It's a nice feeling, but you can honestly learn to do it in an hour or so. Now, throwing them to volume, that is, faster than orders come in, and doing tricks does indeed take a lot of practice, and I'm still learning every day due to minute inconsistencies in dough, sauce, and oven conditions. This is absolutely true, because if you have made your pizza dough correctly, it's pretty elastic. The glutens that form and everything, especially a lot of pizza doughs that you're tossing have sat and developed gluten structure for days in the fridge. Like a good pizza dough sometimes is in the fridge for 3-4 days, maybe a week. And so it's really elastic. Yeah, you can just toss that stuff around. It's really not that hard. Story 5. Having basic organizational skills at work. People are astounded by color-coded items, putting things into tables, and just making everything easy to read. It takes 10 minutes to just sort and put things in their place. A low upkeep and labor task that makes you look miles ahead of your peers. Story 6. Fixing basic stuff. Maybe I'm just unusually stubborn and patient, but I've been fixing appliances, cars, etc. since I was 14. It doesn't even require that you have knowledge of what you're fixing. All it takes is curiosity and persistence, and Google. I get kind of annoyed when people take the attitude that things are simply no good once they've broken in a minor way. Story 7. Writing with both hands. I had my right hand broken and I taught myself to write with my left hand. For the first few hours it was uncomfortable, but I got the hang of it quite quickly, maybe 3 to 4 hours, and I was unable to use my right hand for 3 weeks. I got so used to writing with the left hand that even 10 years later, I can write just as well with both. Story 8. Baking. I get tons of compliments anytime I make something. I usually just Google easy one I find. Story 9. Solving a Rubik's Cube. Buy a Rubik's Cube, get a notepad and pen, watch Dan Brown's video on solving, take notes. Less than 3 to 4 hours later, you should be done. Story 10. VLOOKUPs and pivot tables in Microsoft Excel. It's astounding to me that those two abilities are impressive to anyone, but it is also possible that I work with people who really and truly have no business being employed using computers, so I don't know. To be fair, it is not that I find that stuff in Excel particularly difficult. It's that it's really, really boring, and I don't want to do it. So, yeah. Story 11. Play the recorder. Once I learned how to play Darude Sandstorm and My Heart Will Go On, I was drowning in the poontang. Story 12. I built my own computer. Everyone in my family thinks I'm some sort of genius, and they tell effing everyone that I built it. They view it as some sort of rocket science. It felt like building with Lego. All right, but there are sometimes things that you need to look up, will this processor work with this motherboard, and what type of RAM is best for what I want the system to do. And there are certain quirks, still not that hard. You just have to look the stuff online and kind of reference it, and people have done the work for you, but it's a little more complicated than Lego. Actually just sitting and putting the stuff together in the end, not bad. But knowing what stuff you can put together, a little bit harder. Story 13. In high school, my friend and I learned the Russian alphabet. You could memorize it in a day, and we would write English words but use Russian letters. We would pass notes around and write in Russian, and people would find them and be like, "The F is this?" Story 14. People in my office are impressed with my ability to solve IT-related issues. I just know how to Google things properly. Story 15. Finding whatever you want to watch for free online. Story 16. Play the piano. Just gotta do it a bunch of times. And by that, I mean with weekly lessons for an hour a day for 20 years. Story 17. I know juggling isn't that impressive, but it's not hard to learn at all. Oh, God, weirder. Huh. Guess they're right. Oh, one more try, and then you'll just have to use the best one. Whatever. Huh. Guess they're right. And then I drop one. Shit. Huh. They were... Huh. Guess they're right. Story 18. Programming, apparently. People seem to think I write programs in binary for some reason. Story 19. Learning to cook. Have a few great recipes up your sleeve and practice till perfect. Everyone will be impressed. Story 20. Opening a beer bottle using a lighter. Story 21. Basic computer skills. The eternal struggle of the family tech guy. Story 22. To be a good listener. Not many people are good at it. Story 23. People have always been quite impressed with my piano playing. I'm not a very advanced piano player at all, and simply used to be an occasional hobby that I used to partake in. I rarely play anymore. I stick to very basic classical music and pop music. Wouldn't call it really easy, but people think it's a lot harder than it is. I feel piano is one of the easiest instruments to learn, however, also one of the most difficult to master. All you folks talking about how easy it is to learn an instrument are really, really underestimating just how short my attention span is and how quickly I demand great results from any hobby that I try. You don't know me. Story 24. Be calm in difficult situations to help others calm down to deal with them. It's not a difficult skill to learn, especially with other people's problems, but people are often really impressed by it. Story 25. Cross-stitching. The hardest part is usually the tedium and motivation usually. And maybe learning French knots. Story 26. Learn constellations and where the planets are in the night sky. You can download apps to do this or learn from a paper chart, but people are always impressed if you can just point out Venus in the sky or what have you. Story 27. Existing. I mean, hell, I existed at least 76% of the time, and everyone's like, whoa, man, calm down, you're going to exist forever at this rate. And I just scoff and go, immortality and omniscience ain't no biggie. Story 28. Basic car-related fixes, such as jumping a battery and changing a tire. These things are not difficult, yet many people do not know how to do them for some reason. Honestly, this is good stuff for just anyone to learn. Learn how to jump a car, learn how to change a tire, and if need be, learn how to change oil. Even if you don't ever want to do it yourself, it's still just kind of a good thing to have someone show you and learn a few of the parts. I'm not a car person, but I do know how to at least do those things. Story 29. Pen spinning. Got into it a couple of months ago, and it's the greatest thing ever. Whenever I'm in class, I just start casually spinning my pen, and people always give me weird looks, then pretend that I'm crazy, but they always ask me how I do it afterwards. Story 30. Piano. I just memorize songs using synesthesia videos from YouTube. It displays what keys to press and when in a Guitar Hero style format. I have an elementary comprehension of music theory, but can play very intricate songs because of it. Story 31. Weaving shoelaces. I bought a pair of simple black Vans for $20 a couple years ago, and on a whim also bought a bunch of pairs of brightly colored shoelaces to lace them with. Then I went online and found some simple designs, and my friends went nuts for them. Story 32. Getting rid of adwares and malwares. Yeah, it can be a crap ton of steps and take an hour or two, but you don't need to do any coding or anything to get rid of them. Story 33. Playing an instrument. Let me finish. I'm not saying you'll be the next Eddie Van Halen or Les Claypool, but what I am saying is that it's not impossible. You can literally start whenever. I picked up a bass a year ago after never playing an instrument before, and I'd say I'm pretty solid. I'm not going to go on to sell millions of records, but I can hold my own. Tabs are a godsend. They really dumb it down so anyone can learn. Just practice. Story 34. Public speaking. All you need to do is rehearse/be prepared, be interesting and engaging, and stay on topic. I've never had a problem with this, and I am really good at it, but most people I know fear public speaking or think they're bad at it. To be fair, the fear of public speaking is borderline like a phobia. It is kind of an irrational fear that people have, and I think, the act of speaking publicly is not difficult for folks like us who don't fear public speaking. But if you have a fear of it, it doesn't matter how clearly you can speak and deliver a point if you're just, afraid of it. That's difficult to get over, so I wouldn't call it easy. Story 35. There are really basic card tricks that are really impressive to others, actually. I just started learning them, and nobody knows how I do them. Story 36. Barbering, cutting hair, fading. Went on YouTube and saw how easy it was. It's common sense. The guards do all the work for you. I save myself $20 a week. Been doing it for 5 years now. Story 37. Escaping from handcuffs. Only a few models to deal with, and with one small exception, they're all ridiculously easy to get out of once you know the trick. Slightly tougher, but still nowhere near as hard as people think. Picking shimming locks. Story 38. Growing a garden. I get tons of compliments on the free veggies I give out. It's actually quite easy because Mother Nature does the work. Canning is another thing people marvel at. I guess it comes down to how much time people want to spend on it. Okay, gardening some things is shockingly easy. Like, boy oh boy, my tomato plants, those are always wonderful and great. I have tried to grow carrots and a few other things for 3 years and screwed something up every year. And the amount of vegetables I get for the even small amount of work I put in has not equated. I'm getting better, but it hasn't been easy. Maybe I'm just very bad at gardening.
Story 39. Honestly, Google. I understand how computers in general can be daunting, but I can't emphasize enough how beneficial learning to properly use Google to research whatever it is you want, mostly weeding out unhelpful links.
Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.